Biomed, Nexus Daily Updates, your essential biotech, medtech, and pharma recap. No noise, just what matters. TLDR Merck and Moderna's Phase 3, Interpath 001 trial of intismeran autogene plus Keytruda met its primary endpoint of recurrence-free survival and its key secondary endpoint of distant metastasis-free survival in 1137 patients with resected stage IIB to IV melanoma at a pre-specified interim analysis. No effect sizes were disclosed, and data will be presented at an upcoming medical meeting. Amylyx announced a $350, $0 million proposed public offering of common stock, with a 30-day underwriter's option for up to $52, $5 million more, 1 day after its avexitide Phase 3 win. Proceeds fund pre-commercial work, including manufacturing capacity. President Trump formally announced the nomination of Dr. Heidi Overton as FDA Commissioner on Wednesday via Truth Social. Senate confirmation is required and no hearing date has been set. The D.C. Circuit rejected Teva's core challenges to Medicare drug price negotiation but revived its claim against CMS's bona fide marketing standard, remanding that question to the district court. Tolerance Bio licensed Neoimmunotech's efineptakin alpha, a long-acting IL-7 fusion protein, for equity plus up to $260 million in milestones plus royalties, with Phase 2 plans in thymic function enhancement. Executive takeaway: on Tuesday night, we wrote that Amylyx was the textbook candidate for column 3 of the ledger, winners selling equity into the pop, and we said, watch the wire. The wire took less than a day, a $350 million offering announced before the market could even finish repricing the stock. That is the second time this month the pattern has run on schedule, after Silence sold $201. $3 million within days of Dive Siren, and it is worth being precise about what the ledger is actually for. It does not predict trial outcomes. It predicts what companies do in the first 48 hours after an outcome, because balance sheet behavior after a binary is far more regular than the binaries themselves. The exception defines the rule. The week's biggest binary resolved on Wednesday, and its owners will never appear in the ledger. Merck and Moderna took a Phase 3 melanoma win, sold nothing, raised nothing, wrote nothing, contingent, and did not even tell you the number. Holding your own binaries in silence is what scale buys. Everyone else trades theirs within a day, and you can set your watch by it. Read Full Analysis, Oncology and Vaccines. The individualized mRNA cancer therapy cleared its first Phase 3. The size of the win stays secret until a medical congress. MRK, MAN Interpath 001, the Phase 3 trial of intismeran autogene plus pembrolizumab in 1137 patients with completely resected stage IIB to IV melanoma, met both its primary recurrence-free survival endpoint and its key secondary distant metastasis-free survival endpoint at a pre-specified interim analysis with no new safety signals. The companies called the improvements statistically significant and clinically meaningful and disclosed nothing else. Data go to an upcoming international medical meeting, and they will engage regulators on filings. The context is the 5-year Phase 2b, where the combination cut recurrence or death risk 49% in 157 patients, and the caution is that the Phase 3 reaches into lower risk stage IIB disease, where effects are harder to show. Fierce Biotech reports Citi framed a hazard ratio of 0, 72 or better as positive and 0, 65 or better as a clear win, and that the FDA turned down an accelerated approval bid on the Phase 2b data in 2024. 9 more trials across lung, bladder, renal, pancreatic, and gastric cancers ride on this readout. The pro brief covers what a top line with no numbers is worth, and why the filing question is as much about the factory as the biology. Capital Markets Amylyx went to the wire we told you to watch. $350 million, 1 day after the readout. Amylyx announced a proposed underwritten public offering of $350 million of common stock on Tuesday evening, with a 30-day underwriter's option for up to $52, $5 million more, 1 day after avexitide cut hypoglycemic events 55% in the Phase 3 Lucidity trial. Proceeds go to pre-commercial activities for avexitide, including manufacturing capacity, plus R&D and working capital. Leerink, Morgan Stanley, Guggenheim, and LifeSci Capital run the books, and the deal comes off a shelf that went effective in March. As of Wednesday night, it had not priced. The logic is straightforward. An NDA is due by year-end under breakthrough therapy designation. A launch has to be built in a population where the diagnosis barely exists yet, and the cheapest equity a small company will ever sell is the equity it sells the day after a clean, pivotal win. Silence ran the identical play 2 weeks ago at $2 $3 million. This entry goes straight into column 3 of the ledger, and the open question worth watching is the pricing. How much discount the market demands from a company whose regulatory risk is largely behind it. FDA leadership. The Overton nomination is official now. Everything we wrote Tuesday night still holds. President Trump formally announced on Wednesday, via a post on Truth Social, that he is nominating Dr. Heidi Overton to run the FDA, converting Tuesday's sourced reports into an official nomination. She requires Senate confirmation, and no hearing date has been set. Nothing else changed. Overton's record remains pricing deals, the vaccine schedule, and the food pyramid, with nothing on the 2 questions that have defined this agency for sponsors this summer: post hoc analyses and manufacturing findings. Every decision on the calendar through the 4th quarter, Capricor, Scholar Rock, Rusfertide, Summit, Vertex, is still made by the acting structure. Yesterday's edition carried the full analysis of what a nominee can and cannot change. The one addition tonight is that the confirmation clock has actually started, and the hearing date, when it comes, is the first date on which the next FDA's philosophy could go on the record. Policy Teva lost the big IRA questions and won a small one that will outlive this case. Teva, the DC Circuit, ruled against Teva on both of its central challenges to Medicare drug price negotiation on Tuesday, holding that CMS may treat Austedo and Austedo XR as a single negotiation-eligible drug because they share an active moiety and a manufacturer, and that the program violates no due process rights because Medicare participation is voluntary. But the panel revived Teva's challenge to CMS's bona fide marketing standard, the rule that decides when generic competition actually exists for negotiation purposes, and sent it back to the district court for a merits ruling. The unanimous opinion drew a line that matters beyond Teva. The statute's bar on judicial review covers CMS's drug-specific determinations, not the generally applicable legal standards behind them. That is now the roadmap for every manufacturer hunting for a reviewable question inside the IRA, and it lands as the negotiation program moves into its 2nd cycle with the industry's core constitutional arguments now rejected by every appellate court to reach them. Quick hits. Tolerance Bio, licensed efineptakin alpha, NTI7, Neoimmune Tech's long-acting interleukin-7 fusion protein for the Americas and Europe. Equity of undisclosed size plus up to $260 million in development and sales milestones plus tiered royalties, with essentially no cash up front. The asset has been dosed in more than 800 subjects. Tolerance plans. Phase 2 in thymic function enhancement, starting in HIV immunological non-response. Column 6 of the ledger, at the zero cash end of the curve. Merck and Sarah Cannon Research Institute announced a collaboration to expand access to oncology clinical trials, per the company's August 13 release, covered by Fierce Biotech on Wednesday. No financial terms were disclosed. MRK Stat reports that gene editing experts are dissecting Gene's disclosure decisions in the wake of the boy's death in its Duchenne trial in China. The detailed reporting is behind Stat's paywall. The China trial transparency thread continues. Capricor issued no new release, and the FDA has published no new goal date for Doramyocel. The August 22nd date, this Saturday, formally stands. Kappa, in today's full analysis, be sure to read the full article for all the details, including the full Interpath 001 design table and the Phase 2b versus Phase 3 comparison, including the hazard ratio bars analysts set before the readout, the Amylyx offering term, sheet, size, option, book runners, use of proceeds, and the silence precedent, the Teva ruling, claim by claim, what was rejected, what was revived, and the reviewability line the court drew, the tolerance bio deal terms, and the updated 7-column binary ledger heading into Friday's tally. Read the full breakdown Biomed Nexus Pro in today's Pro Brief. The number Merck and Moderna did not tell you, what a top line with no effect size is worth, the hazard ratio bars that separate a Keytruda upgrade from a new paradigm, and why the filing runs through the factory as much as the biology, the 24-hour rule, what Amylyx's instant raise confirms about post-readout behavior, the one detail in the pricing that tells you how the market grades a de-risked binary, and the anomaly worth hunting for. A license with no cash in it. How Tolerance Bio's zero cash structure extends this week's pricing curve, and why the Teva remand adds a courtroom column entry nobody is modeling, plus the catalysts to watch into Friday's full calendar and ledger tally upgrade to unlock institutional analysis, Phase 3 win with no number attached, a raise that arrived exactly on schedule, and a court that closed the big doors while quietly leaving a small one open. Friday we tally the whole ledger. What are you watching? Reply to this email. Read full article sponsorship slots for 2026 are limited. See packages and pricing. New Biomed Nexus signals. Weekly sales intelligence for life sciences. BD teams. Learn more.